In any feedback conversation that you have with your team members, one of the most important steps of all is to diagnose together why they are where they are, the reasons behind their performance. This is often skipped altogether or misunderstood, but it's a really important step because without it, any actions that you set are likely to be guesswork. And guesswork often means there's going to need to be a second conversation down the line. This illustration, based on a Chinese saying, is a great reminder. If there's a problem with performance, it's so tempting to start hacking at the branches. Instead, try inspecting the roots. But it can be tricky to know how to lead this step, so here's 3 tips to help. First is to look at the impact of the external environment on their performance first. Influences like resources, marketplace conditions, maybe budget, team availability, these can all make a big difference. And as the manager, we might also need to fess up here because we're also part of this bracket. If the feedback is developmental in particular, perhaps that's because we didn't provide enough clear instructions or give enough support. Looking at both those wider influences and the team members' own capabilities will provide a full picture of the influences behind the performance. And I often use the example of the cargo ship, the Nagasaki here, which capsized just along the coast from where I live. She was carrying luxury vehicles out to the Middle East, Porsches, Bentleys, Range Rovers, and heavy-duty digging equipment, all of which smashed into each other as she keeled over and created £10 million worth of damage. The accident report showed that there wasn't one single cause, but a wide range. As we might have guessed, there was human error involved. For example, there was poor communication and she hadn't been loaded correctly, but there were also instrument failures. For example, the straps weren't strong enough to hold the equipment in place. The ballast tanks weren't working. Plus there were also process failures. It was common practice not to do stabilisation checks until after leaving port. The same way at work, there's almost always more than one reason for your team members' outcomes. Tip 3. As far as you can, encourage your team member to lead this part of the feedback conversation. That way, they'll learn how to examine what's happening, to develop their own insights and aha moments. And besides, as manager, we might learn something, both about influences on our team members' performance and also what might be affecting other members of the team as well. Once you've examined together the reasons behind their performance, you'll be ready to move on to the action step and ask them what actions they'd like to take next. All of the Cedar feedback steps are on my website, www.oilintheengine, all one word, oilintheengine.com. Do drop me a message if that would be helpful. I'd be delighted to chat. And there's free conversation guides on my website for both you and your team member. Wishing you great conversations.